I moved into that neighborhood for peace. I wanted a quiet place to raise my son, not a battlefield. I remember the first morning we arrived. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting that soft, warm glow across the cul-de-sac. Lawns trimmed, cars parked neatly, sprinklers ticking like a peaceful metronome. Everything felt so calm that I almost believed life had finally given me rest. My son ran through the yard laughing, a sound I hadn't heard without tension in years. He was 8, bright eyes, light brown hair always flopping across his forehead. Too kind for the world I came from. I knelt beside him, helping him tighten the chain on his little red bicycle. Drop your location in comment. Let's see how far this story reaches around the world, he asked. Questions about the neighborhood, about the people, and about whether we could stay here forever. Told him yes, and at that moment, I meant it. I had left the Navy because I was tired of always being alert, always scanning doorways, windows, rooftops, and shadows. I didn't want that world to follow us. I didn't want my son to learn how to spot danger before he learned how to fly a kite. For a while, it worked. We grilled on weekends. He rode his bike to the end of the street and back. Waved to neighbors at mailboxes, small talk, light smiles, easy living, and then he appeared, the HOA, president, mid-50s, gray. Hair was combed so clean and stiff it barely moved. Polo tucked into pressed khakis, clipboard always in hand like it was an extension of his arm. He introduced himself politely at first, too politely. Every word felt measured, rehearsed. He said things like, "Welcome to the community. We value order here. Not kindness, not connected order." I didn't think much of it. Not yet. I just nodded, thanked him, and went back to my life. But the first sign, the very first sign, was subtle. He watched us, not like a neighbor passing, by not like a man, taking interest in new residents. He watched like someone who believed he had authority over what he saw standing on the sidewalk. Clipboard held close, us in his periphery, not speaking, just assessing. My father used to say something in the old days, back when I was training. There are eyes that see the world, and there are eyes that look for control. Knew that look, but I ignored it because I wanted to believe we were done with that kind of world. For a while, life continued. But one day, while I was repairing the sprinkler system in our front yard, I saw him again, standing farther away this time. Not waving, not smiling, just watching my son play. My jaw tightened. Instinct whispered. Something wasn't right, but I pushed it down. I told myself, not here, not this time. This is just a neighborhood, not a mission zone. And I tried to believe it. I didn't know then that ignoring that whisper would lead to the moment where 2 men showed up at my gate, badges on their chests and intent in their eyes. I didn't know yet. That peace was already slipping away. Before everything unraveled, the neighborhood still looked peaceful. That was the unsettling part, how normal it appeared while something underneath was slowly rotting. The HOA president's presence began to show in small ways first. A new sign was put up near the neighborhood entrance. Westlake Meadow, A. Community of standards, not peace, not welcome. Standards. I remember standing there one morning, coffee in hand, staring at that sign longer than I should have. I couldn't explain why it bothered me, only that something about it felt intentional. The kind of message that wasn't meant to be read, but absorbed. The HOA meetings changed. 2. They used to discuss things like gardening clubs and summer barbecues. Now, they focused on compliance, consistency, behavioral expectations, and communal order, maintenance, words that didn't belong in front yards and bike rides, and warm summer evenings. But most people didn't notice, or if they did, they pretended not to, because the greatest illusion of a quiet neighborhood is the belief, if I don't look directly at the problem, maybe it will go away. And for a time, I tried to believe that, too. The HOA president began sending out notices, not to everyone, just to selected residents, people, like the single mother who worked late and sometimes left her trash bins out overnight, the retired couple who liked to sit on their porch, past the designated quiet hour, and me, the father, whose son played outside the designated play area. It was so benign on paper, just a letter, just a fine, just a rule. But rules become shackles when the person writing them enjoys the sound of the chain. At first, I paid the fines. I didn't want trouble, didn't want eyes on us. But the president noticed that. He noticed I complied. And in men who crave authority, always learn quickly who they can push. The first time I saw the compliance team, I thought it was a joke. 3 men in matching black polo shirts and shiny badges, walking slowly through the neighborhood like predators, observing everything. The HOA president followed behind, clipboard in hand. Days passed, and the neighborhood changed. Kids stopped playing, gardens wilted, and evening walks became brief. Then the letters started, fines for minor infractions. And finally, one word that froze me: behavioral report. It wasn't just a report. It was a referral for my son to a child behavioral evaluator. My instincts told me they were planning to take him. I mapped the neighborhood, noting every route, exit, and sightline. One evening, a compliance man approached my son while he played. I stepped outside calmly. The man backed off. Confident authority was on his side, but I knew the line was about to be crossed. The next day, the HOA president came to my door with 2 compliance men, insisting on my son's evaluation. I simply said no. They left, and the neighborhood retreated into silence. People feared losing what they couldn't protect. But I stood firm. For my son, I always would. Just after sunset, they came back. 2 men in fake tactical uniforms and shiny badges, flanked by the HOA president. They claimed authority to take my son. I opened the door halfway. One stepped forward. Speaking of temporary custody, I cut him off. "You need to leave now." The second man tried to push the door. Calmly, I acted. The first man's wrist snapped under precise, practiced force. The second lunged predictably. I redirected him to the ground. My son froze, watching. I turned to him, not to hide, but to show you defend what you love. The HOA president froze. His smug confidence shattered. Neighbors emerged, phones raised. Whispers spread. The illusion of authority was gone. These weren't officials. They were criminals hiding behind a rule book. Sirens wailed in the distance. His power existed only as long as people feared it. I had just ended at that. The night air finally felt calm. Not the tense, measured calm of avoidance, but the kind that follows a storm, the kind where every exhale is a small victory. The police arrived. Minutes later, I stepped aside, letting them take over. The HOA president and the fake compliance men, they crumbled under questioning, each detail of their so-called authority falling apart under the weight of reality. No documentation, no legal grounds. There is no reason they should have ever been in my home, attempting to claim custody of a child. Neighbors gathered quietly at a distance. Phones raised, capturing the truth as it unfolded. Whispers spread quickly. This wasn't just about one household. It was about power, control, and the fragile line between safety and tyranny. In a place that promised community, the HOA president was arrested along with his compliance team. Their arrogance, their sense of untouchable authority, evaporated in a single evening. I watched the last handcuff snap shut, a quiet sense of vindication settling in my chest. Justice hadn't come easily, but it had arrived. In the following days, the community voted overwhelmingly to dissolve the HOA. Their rules, their hierarchies, their unchecked authority, gone. The streets felt open again. Windows stayed uncurtained. Conversations returned to porches. Children played freely without the weight of surveillance in their innocent hearts. My son healed quickly. There were nights when he would fall asleep smiling, safe in the knowledge that I was there, that the threats he couldn't comprehend had been neutralized. Every morning he ran out into the yard with laughter spilling from his lungs, and I watched him with the same vigilant care I always had, not out of fear, but out of love. And I realized something essential, something simple yet profound. Peace is not the absence of threat. It is the presence of courage. Courage to stand when something precious is in danger. Courage to act without hesitation when Hesitation would cost more than patience ever could courage. To draw a line that others may not cross, I had drawn mine, and now I ask you, when the moment comes, and the thing you love most is threatened, will you recognize the line you must stand on? More importantly, will you stand? Because peace isn't freely given. It is claimed, defended, earned. And in that neighborhood, on that quiet cul-de-sac, a simple truth had been restored. Sometimes, the fiercest battles happen not in distant lands, but in the places you call home for the people you love most. If this story gave you chills, like, share, and subscribe for more real-life battles and suspenseful neighborhood stories. Every fight matters. Don't miss the next one.